Hey folks, Thursday edition, right? Thursday? I think it's Thursday of Daily Dub. Day after hump day. No hump day after hump day. Almost the weekend day, rub a day, touch day, feel a day. And today I wanted to talk about kind of two topics related to End Game. None of this will be spoilers. It's all more surrounding information, I guess. The first being, I think it's AMC that announced you can do like a 60-hour, I believe it was, entire movie marathon of all the MCU movies leading up to watching End Game consecutively. I think it's 60 hours. Let me make sure. I believe AMC is the ticket. That sounds bizarre. 22 movies, 60-hour End Game marathon. Does it include Hulk? Does anybody know that answer? So the first question I have is, are any of you going to go see that? Any of you? I don't know who that audience is. And then you have End Game and it's well over 62 hours. That's crazy. So this is the thing I think about when I think about that. The smell that comes from the vendor's room at Dragon Con, which is troubling, usually. That smell will feel like you're fresh out of the bath compared to the smell that's going to come out of that room by about midpoint. It's going to smell like butter, butt, and snow caps. Hardcore. 60 hours is a long time to sit in a movie theater. There's a part of it that intrigues me for some reason. It's like, oh, I'd like to say I did that as like some type of feat of strength. But I don't feel like I would enjoy End Game at the end of that. Like, you'd be so ready to go home, so uncomfortable. I mean, I guess unless you left in the middle of it and came back and just missed, you know, 4 or 5 of the movies. But why pay to do this if you're going to do that? I can't imagine it's cheap. I don't know how much it is, but it's going to be a couple $100. Anyway, it feels like it should be a Guinness World Records feat as well. Maybe it is. But are any of you doing that? Let me know in the comments. Like, I'm not at all criticizing it. Like, it sounds intriguing, but it also just sounds like not possible, at least for me. I would not be pleased with the condition I was in midway through that. And I'm sure you're going to have people going to sleep and just snoring in the middle of some of those movies for long periods of time. I just wonder how many people are going to go do that. Fascinates me. I would love to know if any of you are going to do that, and then make a video about what it felt like and then how you enjoyed End Game after that. I have tickets to End Game with Victoria, opening night Thursday, 9 o'clock prime time. We have a theater company called Georgia Theater Company, which is much smaller, obviously, than the big ones. But they have this kind of a competitor to IMAX, but it is an unbelievable sound and twin 8K projectors and like subwoofer in your seat and all this incredible stuff. They have it near where Victoria lives, and actually the next day we'll be on our way to vacation, Myrtle Beach, for family vacation. So we're going to see it there. It's where we saw Aquaman, and it was probably my favorite theater experience ever in terms of the actual theater. It was incredible. So that's where we're going to see it. We're going to see it opening night. I'm excited. The second thing I wanted to talk about is more in lines of the type of stuff I talk about on my channel and kind of related to what I just talked about the last time I recorded, which was vote with your dollar. And that is all the information around the SH Figuarts End Game figures and what's going to happen with them and what's not. Now, I will, the precursor here, the asterisk, is I don't have all of this information verified, obviously. I'm speculating by what I do know about the way the import stuff works, by the way past Figuarts stuff has worked, Bluefin, etc. Information I do know to be true, and trying to apply it to what's happening here. But I talk a lot about voting with your dollar, but I also talk about like paying attention to what's going on in the marketplace. So let's talk about the Infinity War SH Figuarts. Let me see if I can remember them off the top of my head. The first release were, I think Iron Spider was the first one out. We had Thanos and the Iron Man Mark 50, the regular release. And then in the US, we had Black Widow. I think she had blast effects. Captain America had blast effects. Black Panther had rocks. The Wasp had a stand, even though I know that's Ant-Man the Wasp. Ant-Man had the ant. What is it? War Machine hasn't come out yet. Hulk came out by himself. with no effects. Bucky came with the explosion. Rocket, Doctor Strange, Star-Lord, and Thor only released in Japan. I think that's all of them. I maybe have missed one. Now, say all those. Of those, the only ones that you cannot currently find well below retail is the Iron Man Mark 50 and the Thanos. Every other one is below retail sitting right now and didn't sell well. Oh, Falcon. Falcon just came out and it's already a good $15 or $20 below the retail price. So what that makes me, or what that tells me, right, is the market wasn't there in America. At least at the price point they had to be at, the market was not there. And the company saw that. SH Figuarts or Bluefin or GameStop, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, whoever you buy from, whoever it was you bought from, saw that the market wasn't there. And I think that's directly what's impacting the End Game situation. So with Infinity War, they released almost all of them to America. Thor was the only unique one. The Rockets never come out in America. I think there's been a couple of them. I think it's because they're small and the price point is not going to work. People are not going to pay $50, $60, $70. It has to be like $70, I think, for a Rocket Raccoon. I wouldn't. That's too much. Doctor Strange and Star-Lord, they had just released the versions with effects, like just within the last 12 months before that. I think that's why they didn't come out. And the rest didn't sell well. People didn't buy them. They waited for them to get clearance. They waited for them to get discounted, which is fine. That's being a smart buyer. But what it also does is it tells the company that's producing them, hey, people don't want these at the price point we got to sell them at. It doesn't tell them, hey, we're going to lower the price $20 so that people buy them. It says, oh, well, we can't make the money we thought we could make off these. We're not going to release them to that market anymore. That's what it does. So what I believe happened, what we do know to be true, is in order for Bandai Tamashii to release a Marvel 1/12 action figure in the United States, it needs to be either the figure itself is expensive enough to hit a certain price point, which I don't know what that is, but I think it's like $70, maybe 80. And that's either it's going to be a big figure, like Hulk or Thanos, or it's going to be packed, quote-unquote, like a play set with a stand or a rocks or an effect of some type to make that value, the Hall of Armor for the Iron Man, to make that price over the necessary price point. Why that is something in Disney, Marvel's master toy license with Hasbro, right? Hasbro is controlling that. The Marvel Legends line is controlling that. So we learned in the NECA Target Turtles discussion that Randy had with Pixel Dan at Toy Fair that the reason that the 2-pack of Turtles at Target has to be priced at $52 is because of licensing. It's not because NECA wants it to be that price. It's because the master license on the Ninja Turtles demands them to be that price and to be in a different area, because then they're not viewed as a competing product to the other Ninja Turtle toys, whatever those are that are coming out, the equivalent of the Marvel Legends Ninja Turtles. They're not viewed as a competing product. What we don't know, what probably is not publicly disclosed anywhere, is if part of that markup has to go to the holder of the master toy license. So follow me here. There's a pie of money. You're $80 to buy SH Figuarts Armored Thanos, or whatever the price is. That gets divided into a bunch of people. Here are all the people that got to reach in there and get their money. The place you buy it from, so let's just say Amazon, they got to make some money. The distributor, in this case, Bluefin. Now, I know Bandai has purchased Bluefin. I don't know if that acquisition is complete. I don't know if they're operating as one unit or separate units or not. I don't know that. I haven't paid attention enough recently. Bluefin has to make money because they're getting the stuff from Japan and getting it to Amazon. Bandai has to make money off of that because they're producing it. Their factory has to make money. The actual company that is making the thing, the true cost. That's 4 hands in the pie, in the cookie jar, trying to get food out, right? When that price goes down $20, 4 hands ain't got room to go in there and get some food anymore. So somebody said, I don't want this anymore. Now let's factor this in. What if instead of those 4 hands, there's the 5th hand? And the license that Disney has with Hasbro says every Marvel 1/12 figure you sell, we get $2. Let's just say that's what it is. You ever watch Shark Tank and you know Mr. Wonderful and he always talks about licensing deals and he says, hey, I'm going to get you into Costco and all this stuff. I'm going to connect you to all these people and I'm going to let you sell it in my stores. But what that means is for every one you sell, I get 50 cents until I make $10 million. And then it drops to 25 cents in perpetuity, which means forever. I think that could be happening. I could think that's happening with the NECA Turtles. They've got to put it at a price because they got to give the Nickelodeon a couple dollars, right? I think that could be happening here. And so now there's 5 hands in this cookie jar. And $80, let's say, if that's the price point, is the price point where everybody can make the money that they're supposed to make this worth their investment. All that has to happen, if that price drops because of clearance, and Amazon says, well, I had to sell it for $60, therefore I didn't make any money, so I'm not ordering any more from you, Bluefin. And Bluefin says, well, Amazon's a huge customer. If they're not going to order anymore, or instead of 500,000, they're going to order 500, Bluefin goes to Bandai and says, hey, Bandai, I'm not going to have as many to bring into the United States as I thought. I'm not going to order these from you. And then Bandai says, oh, well, if we're not going to sell as many in the United States, factory, you're not going to make as many. And it trickles all the way down. That's how you vote with your dollar. And thus there is a much more limited supply of these. So what I believe happened, because only the Thanos and the Mark 50 sold well in the United States, those are the only ones that Bluefin is bringing over. Whether that was Bluefin's decision, Bandai's decision, the big buyers' decisions, which the big buyers in America are Amazon and GameStop and Barnes & Noble. You can think what you want about some of the others, but they're small compared to the big boys. Why it's one of those decisions, I don't know. But you can see everybody is having to import the Japanese version, except for Thanos and the Iron Man Mark 50 with the weapons pack, the 3rd weapons pack, which is a whole other conversation. So, what does that mean? I think it means that the rest of those Endgame figures aren't going to be available widely in America. We keep seeing them sell out immediately as the different Japanese websites get them. So what are your options right now? Well, I think the best option is you try to get it directly yourself from a place like Ami or Nippon or Anime Export. That's who I use. But all of those are very legitimate, very normal. They'll all treat you correctly. You're not going to have any issues. It's just sometimes you have to front the money up front. Sometimes you got to deal with long shipping. But you're going to get them like the Thanos, Armored Thanos from Anime Export comes out in like 2 weeks. But the US version will be months away. So there are advantages to that. And it's cheaper. Right? I think I bought the whole wave, every one of them, and I paid an average of like $48 a figure to get them all. That's great. It's way cheaper than what it would be in the United States. And so why does that make sense? Because those hands in the cookie jar, that removed the Amazon hand from the cookie jar, that removed the Bluefin hand from the cookie jar. So there were less hands in the cookie jar, right? So all their monies didn't have to be paid. So I can sell it to you for less. That's wonderful. So that's what I do. It's probably what I'm going to keep. That's what I'm doing for Star Wars right now. I'm doing it some for Dragon Ball. I'm probably going to start doing it for Marvel because I don't know that the Marvel stuff's going to be released to America anymore. I would recommend that. If you don't feel comfortable dealing with the Japanese websites yourself, if you don't like dealing with exchange rates or for whatever reason, you don't feel comfortable, which is fine if you don't. I would encourage you to try to feel comfortable because it's no different than dealing with anyone else. But you've got your options like Toyco and Toy Ninja, who will import it for you. They'll mark it up a few bucks because they need to make profit. Again, we're putting a hand back in the pie, back in the cookie jar, and you can get it from them. I think recently, I don't remember what the figure was, but I saw Andrew actually post in the Toyco group, hey, you're going to pay more for me to get this figure than you are if you get it yourself from Japan. But I know I have a bunch of people requesting this, and they feel more comfortable dealing with me than they do dealing directly with Japan, so I'm getting it. I don't remember what the figure was. It was something more obscure, maybe a Kamen Rider or something. And so that's what he did. And people pay extra money for convenience all the time. The biggest example of this is Walgreens or CVS, right? If you go into Walgreens to get a gallon of milk, you are paying for convenience. You are saying, I'm going to pay $1 more for this milk so that I don't have to deal with Walmart or Kroger or something big where I can just run in and run out because it's convenient for you. That's the convenience of dealing with those vendors. They're great. They're great vendors. There's others. I think Megalopolis does it. And then you've got the big bad toy store route, which I think is a level up from them. They're going to be more expensive. They mark their stuff up. Like, for instance, the Thor
that was imported from Infinity War. It's like $120 on Big Bad. They're marketing it more. They're a bigger store. They have more employees to pay. They got more warehouse fees, et cetera, et cetera. So they got to, hands in the cookie jar, right? They got to do more. So I just wanted to talk about all this because it gets very confusing. I wanted to propose that I think there may be a license fee happening to Hasbro, which is jacking these prices up. For all I know, tomorrow, today, while I'm filming this, whenever, all of these could get Bluefin American releases, and it could have just been a timing thing. Maybe that'll happen. But I know, because of understanding economics, if the supply is there, but the demand keeps lowering, and I'm not willing to pay at the price you've got it at, that supply is going to shrink. That's supply and demand. And I think we saw that all year with Infinity War. Nobody bought those figures at the price they were. And yes, you can say, well, they messed up the head sculpt. That's all fine. Like, that's a different conversation. But it's just the reality is, if that's the price it's got to be at for it to make sense, and it doesn't sell at that price, they ain't bringing it to the market where that price has to happen anymore, because they're doing just fine in their home market. We are not their home market. They don't have to sell in the U.S. Sure, they want to. They want to make more money, but they don't have to. They can just sell in Asia, right? That's just the way it works. So think about that. Consider, if you have any questions, you can ask below. You know, lots of good options, and unfortunately, you know, we may not see the Bluefin release. If we do, then that's great. So anyway, no spoilers there. Let me know if you're going to see the 60-hour marathon. I'm very interested if you're going to do that. Let me know if you got the SH Figuarts. I did. I got the whole wave, all from Anime Export. They only allowed one per. So unless you have multiple accounts or you order from multiple stores, I don't know how many are going to hit the aftermarket. I'm sure some will, because people are going to speculate on this. But let me know what you think. Anyway, I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll be back home tomorrow. I got this is my last day in Boston. I'll be back in Atlanta tomorrow, thankfully. Until then, you know, give us a little squeeze.